Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time to address whatever topics you might like to discuss and whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. We are here for you to discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, blending families, raising children. You can discuss dating and relationships, whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind. God is concerned about that which concerns you. That is the reason that we are here, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji Water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery. And you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com, and those of you who have used the QR code or the link that has been provided on Facebook and YouTube, we thank you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I'm going to say to all of our listeners and viewers, I want to remind everyone, including all of our new listeners and viewers, that we are Facebook Live, we are YouTube Live, we are RadioFreeNetwork.com live. Go to RadioFreeNetwork.com, click on radio, the drop box will appear. Click on the New Life link. Every broadcast is available to you. And while you are there, you can click on the WKAP link, which will take you to our internet radio station where we play music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that you can stay connected with us and be encouraged, empowered, and inspired to become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. And you can reach us at WKAPFaith.com. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your parents are extremely successful, and you said quite successful and extremely financially secure. And although you have requested they give you your inheritance or give you what they plan to give to you, now they refuse to do so. And you said this has caused you to resent your parents. Let me make sure that you're clear about the language that you're using. First of all, you say you resent your parents now for not giving you what they have built or what they have stored up. In other words, what you feel you're entitled to. And here's the problem with that. First and foremost, you need to understand that your parents are doing you a favor. They're not giving you any more than what they feel you can handle at this time. It's exactly what God does for each of us. God will never put any more on us than we can bear, which also means that He's never going to give us any more than what we can handle. The scripture clearly tells us that God will withhold no good thing from us. So that implies that if it's not good from us, He's not good for us, He's going to withhold this from us. And your parents are doing the exact same thing. Secondly, you need to understand that even at this age of your life, your late 30s, about to turn 40, and The reality is that you're not entitled to anything. Your parents have a right to spend every dollar that they've stored up, going on whatever excursions they desire to go on, doing whatever they desire to do at home. They are entitled to spend every dollar because it's what they built. You're not entitled to anything. You're living on grace and privilege. Because you see that they have become quite successful and extremely financially secure, you feel that you're entitled to something from them. And the reason they're not giving it to you is because they know it's not good for you. They know that if they give you more than what you can handle. You know, I preached a sermon last Sunday, and I don't know if you were tuned in for the Sunday sermon. For those of you who are tuned in every week, to God be the glory. But, you know, for those of you who are not aware, we have our Sunday sermon at New Life Christian Center - Pastor Pope on YouTube. For those of you that are not in our area, and you're not in our area. So here's what you need to know. I preached last Sunday about there's so much more in store. And I'm going to follow up, because the Lord's been speaking to me this week. I'm going to follow up that message. Should have made it two-part, but I didn't know the Lord was going to continue working this. But the problem is that there's so much privilege in our society today that the generation coming behind us feel they're entitled to something because you're living on grace and privilege. But the reality is that you're not entitled to anything. Your parents have a right to disperse to you whatever they want to disperse to you on their own terms and in their own time. And hopefully the Holy Spirit will guide them in doing that effectively and efficiently. You know, I have to think if they're doing this the right way now, they understand that it would not be good for you. Too much would destroy your life. Now, you might not agree with that because you have this sense of resentment going on for your parents. So I'm certain by the time I'm done with this, you're probably going to feel the same way about me, but it's okay because you tuned in. So the reality is that your language of resentment towards your parents, how could you possibly resent them for protecting you, or, you know, another analogy of salvation, saving you from yourself? You know, you've got to realize that if your parents were to put in your hands what they have stored up for you today, in the state of mind that you're in right now, and the reason I know your state of mind is because you use the term resent. You have resentment towards them. So that tells me that the level of maturity is not there for you to handle what they could possibly provide you with, even in this living time that they're in. They could do more and probably would want to do more, but you're not ready to handle that. Because you're not ready to handle it, they know it's not good for you. They're not going to give it to you. They've worked very hard to get to where they are today. They've endured challenges, and like life happens to us all, they've worked very hard to get there, to get to where they are right now. And they understand that to turn it over to you would be detrimental to your life. So for all of our listeners and viewers, let's be clear on something. God is never going to give you more than you're ready to handle. Now, I know that, you know, there's been people that have sent me communications and talked about some of this because I've addressed some of these issues in the past. But here's the reality. Someone said to me once in a communication, well, sometimes God blesses people who just go off the wheels fall off because they've been given so much. Well, here's the reality. The enemy will give stuff to folks also. The enemy will give things to people to destroy them because he seeks to steal, kill, and destroy. So it's not God. God allows it to happen with hopes that it will draw them closer to him, but he already knows the results, so then it becomes an example to someone else. However, your parents are not trying to do that to you, and God is not guiding your parents to do that to you. God is not allowing your parents to do that to you because he's protecting you for something much greater. You don't need to focus on immediate gratification. You've got to focus on what God has purposed for your life. And your parents are a part of that. That's why they were assigned the responsibility of being your parent. You could have been raised by wolves. I'm using that as an example, an analogy to say you could have been raised by someone who was not responsible for your development and growth. But your parents are wise enough, and part of their wisdom, part of their successes come from the wisdom of God. Now, I know you might say, well, my parents aren't in church every Sunday, but your parents believe in God, and they do attend church, so they're godly people who are trying to do the right thing in life. Everybody's not going to walk around speaking in tongues and laying their hands on your forehead. They're trying to do the right thing. They're growing too. We're all a work in progress, let me say that. But they're trying to protect you from yourself. And you know what's really interesting is that the older you get and the more you have, the more opportunity you have to mess things up. Because you can find a whole lot more to do when you know what can be done. You know, there's some young people, they don't even have a clue. If they had something in their hands, they would, if they had wealth in their hands, they might do some foolish things. But at your age, you could really do some damage. And your parents don't want to see, they're basically saving you from yourself at this point in your life. Know it's for your good. It's not for evil. Just as God has a plan for your life, your parents do also. And it's of good and not of evil. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you're not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill. And if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are in the process of growth and expansion of your business, and you want to know how do you deal with both simultaneously. This is an excellent question. You're trying to navigate both growth and expansion. So, the growth you're talking about is the growth in your daily business operations, the business growing, new customers, customer retention. Expansion, the expansion that you referenced is that you want to diversify a bit, you want to expand your current business offering, and you want to diversify a bit. So how do you navigate them both? You've got to recognize that for the growth, you're really going to have to sit down and chart out your growth strategy. What's it going to look like for customer satisfaction? What's it going to look like for, and you will probably want to, you'll want to create a customer satisfaction index, based on calls or complaints that you're getting, You also want to focus on customer retention. How do you retain the customers that you currently have? Part of that is based on customer satisfaction. The other part is based on additional offerings, new products and services. So you want to chart that out. That has to be part of your growth strategy. Your expansion strategy has to be a different sheet, a different strategy of expansion. What areas are you going to target? How are you going to move those offerings into additional regions? You may not want to focus on expansion broadly, even though we're living in a global economy. You might want to focus on regionally for now, and then determine how you might be able to expand geographically. You also want to, as part of your business expansion strategy, you want to look at, the diversification aspect. I get that. So are you going to create or innovate in a new business sector? Those are two separate categories that you can then navigate simultaneously. It's important that in business that we get an understanding of growth and expansion at the appropriate time. So I'm going to say this to you. First, focus on your organic growth. First, focus on the growth of your current business. Fine-tune that strategy. In other words, go back, review, and make sure that strategy is effective and efficient. And then determine the appropriate time to expand. And regionally. It's important that we look at every component. So, I'll use some examples. I've watched people that I know expand into other regions because once they hit their growth capacity in one area, they decide to move to another city, regionally, maybe nationally, but they move to another city. They don't move the business, they keep operating the current business, but then they move into another city because there may not be additional growth opportunity where they're located. Those are things that you have to decide during the appropriate period of time. Expansion is always going to add, obviously, to your business model. It's going to add new customers. It's going to add new products and services. But timing is everything. So I'm going to encourage you to just focus on getting an understanding of your growth and the appropriate time for your expansion. You can do this, and you can do it simultaneously. Your business where you're located right now is having success. To God be the glory. You're having success right where you are. But I get it. The growth opportunity may be somewhat limited, so you just want to continue the retention of your customer base where you are and then look at the potential for expansion. There are some opportunities out there. And then particularly in diversification, you may want to get into another sector and a business, and that's okay too. We want to maximize our opportunities, we want to maximize our potential and maximize our success. So all of those things will work together, as the scripture has told us, will work together for the good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. If you're called to do this, it will continue to flourish. Part of the reason that vision comes to pass is because it's God's will. If it doesn't come to pass, it's not God's will. It's what we will to do. It's what we desire to do. God has his hand on the pulse of everything that beats in our heart. God knows exactly what he wants to do in us, and he will do exactly what he desires to do. If our heart is open, we're willing to be a willing vessel, to be used by him. he will accomplish what he desires to accomplish. So look, you can do this. You can navigate this simultaneously. Just remember, timing is everything, but you first want to get an understanding on your growth, of your growth. You want to make sure that you get a complete understanding of the growth. And what that looks like, let me kind of let you into our world, is that, we have the church, we have the CDC, we have the Achievers Academy, we have the radio station. All of those things are growing at their own pace. But we have to understand the growth. So we have to continue to maximize our opportunities, maximize our potential, and that will allow us to maximize our success. So, and I'm not negating the international ministries, because that's all part of what we do based here in our Christian church. So it's important that you understand your growth, and that everything is done at in an appropriate period of time. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Under Armour Golf, one of our golf sponsors for our annual golf tournament. Under Armour Golf, if you go to underarmour.com, type in the word golf in the search bar, and you will find everything that Under Armour Golf has available for you to enjoy your golf outings, enjoy going out and playing a round of golf on any given day. And if you're just into health and wellness and fitness, go to underarmour.com. They have everything that you could possibly need to enhance your health and wellness. We want to make certain that everyone is healthy in their body, mind, and spirit, that we are well in our body, mind, and spirit. Golf is great exercise, and Under Armour Golf is our sponsor. Go to underarmour.com and you will see everything that Under Armour has to offer. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers, who indicated that you have always been focused on the needs of others. However, you are now at the point in your life where you have made it clear to all parties concerned that you are focused on your own life. Others call it selfish, but you're concerned about now living life for yourself. So let me say this to you. I'm going to have to go a different path and call this self-care. This isn't just about you not being concerned about the needs of others. You're right. You've been focused on everybody else's needs and wants. And at some point in life, you do find that you get a bit exhausted trying to address everyone else's needs and wants. Because a lot of it is just that. It's not that they need, it's that they want. And at some point in life, you get the opportunity to say, okay, enough is enough. And you get to say, I'm going to focus on self-care. I'm going to focus on the things that I would like to do now. And that's not being selfish. That's self-care. Because everyone has the opportunity to take care of themselves. And everyone else is doing what they want to do, but now people want to call you selfish for not doing what they want you to do. Well, here's the reality. The reality is, at some point in all of our lives, we get to say, enough is enough. Now, some people will say that comes when you get to the age of retirement, but, life's not promised to you after the days of retirement. So you got to live this thing out to the fullest, and you've got to take care of yourself, because other people will wear you out. They will exhaust you. And we all know what exhaustion will do. Exhaustion is a killer. Exhaustion will lead to stress, and stress will lead to death. So I'm gonna direct this in a different way, and that is that you're now focused on self-care. And that's real important, because the older we get, the more we need to be concerned about self-care. Now, I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't take care of ourselves. For all of you out there who are listening today that are not baby boomers, such as myself, okay? I am a baby boomer. For those of you out there, I'm not diminishing the fact that at your age you shouldn't be concerned about self-care. It's better when you start younger. It's better when you start younger, focused on self-care. I'm not talking about self-gratification. I'm not talking about immediate gratification. I'm talking about self-care, making sure that we eat right, we get enough rest, we exercise, we are focused on our careers. It's better when you start younger. But when you get to a certain point in life, when you're a person of a certain age, you arrive at the point where self-care becomes critical. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, we're not going to last. So we have to take care of ourselves and really decide, okay, I'm going to focus on my career, I'm going to focus on my calling, I'm going to focus on my career, and I'm going to focus on my care. What that means is I'm not going to address everyone else's needs and wants. I'm going to address my own. When you're a person of a certain age, you get to do that. And we're all at that age. All of us who are baby boomers. We're all at the age now where we have to decide that we're going to focus on our own care and we're going to focus on our own careers. And what I mean by that is we're going to continue working. We're going to continue working and continue doing what God has called us to do in our professions. And we're going to focus on that. And at the end of the day, we're going to focus on what goes on in our household. We're going to focus on what goes on in our immediate environment. And everyone and everything that is not in our immediate environment is not going to be a subject of focus. Now, I'm not suggesting you shouldn't watch the news. You shouldn't be aware. We have to live in this society. We need to be informed. You can't even cast a vote if you're not informed. We need to be informed. But we don't need to be concerned about what's going on outside of our immediate household. Because the moment you do that, you begin to erode a bit of your own care, your own self-care. Because then we start getting concerned about everything else in the world that has nothing to do with us. And I found that that's one of the causes of stress for most people. It sounds like you're living in a bubble, but you're really not, because you have to go out and deal with the outside world every day. We have to conduct business every single day. But once the end of the day comes, the beginning of the day dawns, and everything that goes on between that period of time has nothing to do with anything outside of our household. That's where we all should be focusing our attention. And then when the new day dawns, focus our attention on our career. What can we do to maximize our success? And what can we do to really maintain our peace? That's going to be important in that also. That's self-care. So stop worrying about what other people, say when they start talking about you being selfish, and because that has nothing to do with what's going on in your life. The only thing it has to do with is the fact that you are now at a point where you understand the importance of self-care. And for that, I say, to God be the glory, because we all need to get to that place. because that's the place of peace in all of our lives. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. I look forward to being in your viewing environment tomorrow. Remember, we are Facebook Live, YouTube Live, RadioFreeNetwork.com Live. Go to RadioFreeNetwork.com, click on radio. The Dropbox will appear. Click on the New Life link. Every broadcast is available to you. And you can now tune in, stay connected with us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at WKAPfaith.com